Thank you for being a friend. Hello, this is Justin with the Millennial Mixtape, and today I'm here to both give you nightmares and take a look at episode 3 of Best Theme Song Ever. Today, if you couldn't already tell, we'll be diving into the Golden Girls theme song. Let's see if these ladies have what it takes. Back after this. Alright, thanks for tuning in. Real quick shout out to my wardrobe department, Tim and Haley, for letting me borrow their Hamilton wig for today's episode. I'm not throwing away my shot. Yeah. Also, I had to put a hat on because I thought that would look less ridiculous than the indentation lines from the wig. So I'm sure you'll let me know otherwise in the comments. So I'm here for that too. But anyway, as I said, today we're going to be taking a look at the Golden Girls theme song. Now, I have not watched a single episode of this show. I'm familiar with it. I know it's the show about 4 old ladies living in Florida, but that's the extent of it. And because I don't know much about the Golden Girls, I would love for you to go ahead and just drop some trivia down there in the comments that I can go back and read and learn more about the show. And probably after this, my wife will encourage me to watch every episode as she has. So that's something to look forward to. So if this is your first time joining Best Theme Song Ever, let me tell you how it works. I will look at the premise of the show as provided by Wikipedia, and again, this will be especially helpful for me because I have not watched a single episode of the Golden Girls. After that, we'll look at the history of the song, who wrote it, when did it come out, was it written for the show, was it not, etc., etc. And then I will dive into my 4 criteria for determining if this is indeed the best theme song ever. Just to let you know what the criteria are, we have earworm-iness, or the ability of the song to be an earworm. We have intentionality of lyrics. How well does the song give you some kind of idea of what the show is about? We have the title sequence. How well does the title sequence pair with the theme song to again give you a sense of what the show is about? And finally, item number 4, timeliness. How well does this song fit into the time frame of the show, into when the show was released? Is this something that is indicative of the time the show premiered, or is this something that transcends space and time and is literally zoom, zoom, zoom from the Xenon the Girl of the 21st Century movie? That song is just like a Doctor Who of a song. It exists in all places. Let's get into the premise.
Blanche, what are you doing lining shelves on a Friday night?
I'm working off all my excess sexual energy.
So according to Wikipedia, the show had an ensemble cast and the plot revolves around 4 older single women, 3 widows, and 1 divorcee, sharing a house in Miami. The owner of the house is a widow named Blanche Devereaux. Ooh, I'm Southern and I like that. Who was joined by a fellow widow, Rose Nyland, and divorcee Dorothy Zbornak? We'll go with that. Zbornak. After they both responded to an ad on the bulletin board of a local grocery store a year before the start of the series. In the pilot episode, the 3 were joined by Dorothy's 80-year-old mother, Sophia Petrillo, after the retirement home where she had been living burned down. Okay, so first off, we have some difficult names for someone who has never seen the show. Zbornak and Petrillo. Devereaux I got. I'm from the South, but I don't know those other ones. I have no idea. All right, up next, let's talk the history of the song.
So that's when the salesman from Men's Sportswear walks clear across the store into Ladies Petite.
What were you doing in Ladies Petite?
So this may be something that you already knew. It's not something I knew, again, not being a fan of the show. But the Golden Girls theme song was not actually written specifically for the show. This is, I think, of the 3 episodes we've done now, this is the first one that was not written specifically for the show. It was written by a singer named Andrew Gold and released as a single in 1978. Now, in my Fresh Prince of Bel-Air video, I mentioned that song, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme song, that song was actually on the charts in the Netherlands for like 2 weeks. Thank You for Being a Friend actually reached number 25 on the Billboard Hot 100. So this one actually charted in America and reached number 25. So that's pretty cool. Also, because I'm a drummer, I have to throw this out there. The drummer on the original song by Andrew Gold was Jeff Porcaro, and you probably don't know the name, but you do know this. Okay, of course Gold didn't sing the version we hear in the title sequence of the show. That was done by Cynthia Fee. I believe now she goes by Cindy Fee. She performed a cover of the song, and that's what we hear on the show. And also, I am with Jazzy Jeff saying that they wrote the theme song to Fresh Prince in 15 minutes. I read that Andrew Gold said he wrote this song in an hour. This was just a little throwaway something that he put together, and 42 years later, like, I can, you know, thank you for being a friend. Like, we know it, right? So for something that was just a throwaway song to him 42 years ago, it's incredible that it's had this lasting power that it has. Speaking of that, it is time for our first criteria, earworm-iness.
Oh, Ma, come here. I want you to taste this. Well?
Wouldn't it be easier to put a pillow over my face while I sleep?
All right, so let's talk about that for a second. I feel like this is once again another song that is instantly recognizable thanks to syndication. So I was a fan of Will and Grace, and I remember watching the syndicated reruns of it on Lifetime at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and then immediately after would be the Golden Girls, and that was kind of my cue to turn the TV off. I'm sorry. I mean, I know the theme song from that. I've heard it enough times from that again, like, I hear that do-do-do-do. I hear that part and I know it's the Golden Girls theme song. So chances are good that you've heard it. And again, if I begin singing it with my terrible singing, you probably continue on singing the rest of the opening. And I want to mention that Andrew Gold's version is a little bit more swung, like the musicality of it is a little bit more swung, but his vocals are lacking that power and oomph that Cindy Fee's has. So, of course, we're not here to grade Andrew Gold's version, but with Cindy Fee's version, after hearing the swing in Andrew Gold, I feel like, you know, that probably wouldn't work for something that viewers would be watching week after week after week. So I think they made a good choice to kind of straighten out the music of it, and then Cindy's voice just sounds really good there as well. So for earworm-iness, I'm going to have to give the Golden Girls theme song a 4 out of 4. Next criteria, intentionality of lyrics.
No way. No, Dorothy's Bornak doesn't know the meaning of the word forfeit.
And she's a teacher, too.
Because this is the first song we've had that wasn't written specifically for a show, there is very little sense of what the show's about. I mean, this song predates the show by about 7 years. With that, it doesn't explicitly draw out what the show's about, which it doesn't need to. You get a sense that the show's about friendship, right? And the trials and tribulations that they go through in their friendship. So we get a sense of what these ladies will be going through throughout the duration of the series. But again, it doesn't specifically spell it out for us. But we get a sense that it's about friendship, that they will be going through some things together, and they will come out victorious on the other side. So because of that, while it doesn't explicitly spell out the show for us, which is fine, I will have to give intentionality of lyrics a 3 out of 4. We get a sense of the show, but we don't know what the show's entirely about. So 3 out of 4 on that one. Third criteria, title sequence.
Complete this famous saying, better late than...
Blanche!
Pregnant.
So does the title sequence and the song pair up well enough to tell us what the show's about? So in that regard, yes, I think you really do get a strong sense of what the show's about. Once you have the visuals and the music together, you know that this is a show about friends, and you get a sense that it's going to have depth to it, right? Because it's, to my knowledge, it's the first show to feature a predominantly older cast, which is laughable because these women were in their 50s and 60s when the show premiered and were pretty close in age to their characters. So, you know, that now is definitely not considered old, right? But anyway, so yeah, so once we have the music and the title sequence together, I think we get a really good sense of what the show's about. So for that title sequence, we get a 4 out of 4. So going into our last criteria, we have 2 4s and 1 3. Let's see how we do with the last one, which is timeliness.
Ma, now that you've finished, could I see that? Next time I'll ask you to hand me the candlestick.
All right, so timeliness of the song. So is this something that transcends time? Is it something that never really existed in the time frame of when the show premiered? Or is this something that is stuck in place? It's a little time capsule for that period. And so for that, let's look at when the show premiered, which was September 14th, 1985. Again, the song was released as a single by Andrew Gold in 1978. So it was already a little dated, but they gave it They made it a cover version with Cindy Fee's vocals, changed the music up a little bit, straightened it out. Instead of that swung pattern, it's kind of more straight and narrow, which made it great for that time period. Now, if we look at the #1 song, the week that it premiered, so September 14th, 1985, St. Elmo's Fire, Man on Fire, St. Elmo's Fire, Man in Motion by John Parr, which is a fine song. Incredibly dated, but a fine song. Still fun to catch, you know, on your shuffle every now and then. I think that this song fits the mold of a mid-80s song very well. It does feel dated. Probably when they, you know, made the show, they A, weren't expecting it to be the success that it was, and B, weren't expecting it to be in syndication forever. So I can't really fault them for that, but it does sound dated when compared to other theme songs that we've discussed on the show, and just in general, it feels like a very 80s song. I'm going to have to give this one a 3 out of 4 again. So we have 2 4s and 2 3s. Let's see where that puts us for a total score. All right, so our scores are a 4, a 3, a 4, and a 3. Added together gives us a 14. When we average all that out and do all that magical math that I'm not good at, but thankfully calculators are, we get a grand total of 87.5%, which is a strong B, a very strong B. You can't fault it for that, right? There we have it. The Golden Girls theme song gets a solid B. B's get degrees, right? D's get degrees. So B is nothing to scoff at. That's a really good grade. So admirable job by Andrew Gold, Cindy Fee, and the crew at the Golden Girls. Very good job. All right, so with that, let's wrap up episode 3 of Best Theme Song Ever. Today, again, it was the Golden Girls. Now, next week we'll have a new episode, but go ahead and drop in the comments what shows you would like to see. There is a new video every week. And before you leave, I'd just like to say, if you like today's content, be sure and like the video. If you love today's content, subscribe and hit the bell gizmo when you see it so that you're notified of any new videos for Best Theme Song Ever. With that, I'm Justin with the Millennial Mixtape. Over here is another video that you might like. Go ahead and give that a click, and I will see you next time. Until I see you, stay safe, stay well, and thank you for being a friend.